everyone, welcome to Wicked West Books. My name is Meg West and this is the TBR tag. I haven't seen very many of these, so I thought I was going to have to create this tag, but someone did create it years and years ago. The video I found was Books and Lalas, and she gave credit to the original poster, but it was to a blog that you need permission to visit. So unfortunately I cannot give credit to the original creator, but I am rearranging my bookcases. Here's some small demonstration of what that's going to look like. And these top 3 shelves on this bookshelf are all of my unread books. So I figured before I start double stacking them on bottom shelves where no one will ever see them, I should probably do this tag just to let you all know what's on here, how long some of these have been here, and things like that before I move them. And I would very much like to make this shrink, and the goals for next year in another video. So the first question on the TBR tag, how do you keep track of your TBR? And this is it. I didn't used to keep track of it at all, and then I had a thought, how many are there? So I put them on their own shelf, and then their own second shelf, and then their own third shelf. This is how I keep track of it, and I'm going to hide it better next time. Is your TBR mostly physical books, ebooks, or audiobooks? I only keep track of the physical ones. The ebooks and like audiobooks, they don't make me feel bad about not having read them, but the physical ones. Number 3, how do you determine which book from your TBR to read next? Well, when I'm in the mood to actually do this, which considering the amount of books I've got, I'm not usually, because I lately, the last 2 years specifically, have been doing so many more audiobooks than physical books just because I'm able to listen to them while I do my job, and I have way more time while I'm doing my job than I have free time, and that frees up a lot of time to do other things while I read, while I work. The way I get through this is audiobooks. If it's not available on any of my 2 library cards, then I will consider buying the audiobook for it. But yeah, primarily by finding an audiobook that's available. A book on your TBR shelf that has been there the longest. I have The Copper Gauntlet by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. The second book in a series that was really big when the first one came out, which was back in 2014. Pretty sure that I got this second hand. It's still been on there very, very long. Another one that I thought of, R.A. Salvatore's Sword of Bedwyr, has been on my shelves also for a very long time. If you look at it one other way, which is the oldest book that is on my TBR, the only classic on here is The Last of the Mohicans by James Fenimore Cooper, which will come up again in another question in just a second, so I'm going to put it back until then. Question number 5 is a book that you recently added to your TBR. I have 2. These 2 books were added at the same time because I bought them together, because one of my favorite book series is the Abhorsen trilogy by Garth Nix. I absolutely adore that trilogy and the books that come around it. So when I saw 2 Garth Nix books that I had not read yet, I decided to go ahead and pick them up. So I have Shade's Children by Garth Nix and Ragwitch. Do I know what either of these are about? No, not particularly. Will I read them this year? We'll see. Question number 6, a book that is on your TBR just because of its beautiful cover. While that's not the only reason I have this book, it's a big reason on why I bought it, because honestly I could not tell you what the plot is supposed to be for this one. For that I have Courting Darkness by Robin the Fevers. I've read the big trilogy that went around booktube a few years ago. Probably more than a few years ago. And I really actually enjoyed them, and I bought this one because it's gorgeous. I love it. I love it so much. I really do. I just haven't gotten around to reading it yet. Also, this book, The Space Between, gets an honorable mention by Brenna Jovanov because it's also extremely gorgeous, and I haven't read it yet. Question number 7, a book on your TBR that you never intend to read, and I said this book would come back. So, you know, never say never, but probably never. This book was one of my mother's favorites, and she recommended it to me, and this is actually her copy of it, but I'm not the biggest fan of classics. probably isn't going to move anytime soon, except for rearrangements. An unpublished book that you're excited to read, and for me, that book is Wild Sign by Patricia Briggs. This is going to be a new book in the Alpha and Omega series, which is part of the Mercyverse, which is on my favorites shelf right here, out of frame, because this is the side of my shelves that you don't normally see. And I'm really, really excited for it. I love the romance in the Alpha and Omega series versus the kind of over-the-top plot line that Mercy provides in her novels. Question number 9 is a book on your TBR that it seems like everyone except you have read. I've got 2 easy choices for this one. Those books are Never Fade by Alexandra Bracken. This is the second book to the Darkest Minds trilogy, which again blew up on BookTube years ago. And I read the first one. I just never finished the trilogy, even though I have all 3 books. I have them all. I just have never read them. The other book is Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. Now, I loved the Six of Crows duology, honestly. I really did. Those were good. I've read the first book in this trilogy 3 times now, and I still have trouble remembering what it was about. And every time I reread it, it's so that I can start this book, and I get to the end of book 1 and have no wish to start this one. I have also read the newest one, whose name I cannot remember, with the gold cover that everyone was so excited for. And honestly, I absolutely hated it. Unpopular opinion, but there it is. Question number 10. A book on your shelf that everyone has recommended. I already said that my mother recommended to me The Last of the Mohicans. The only other book on this shelf that was specifically recommended to me is The Devil Who Tamed Her by Johanna Lindsey. This book was recommended to me in a comment. I do not remember which video. I do remember that someone recommended it to me and that they loved it, and that's the whole reason I went out and bought it when I saw it on the shelf, but I haven't read it. And I probably should, because it's a romance and I can usually go through those really quickly because they tend not to have a whole lot of plot other than fall in love, but I haven't. Also, it's so against my aesthetic, but I don't care. Question number 11 is a book on your shelf that you are dying to read. And honestly, this one was pretty easy for me to pick out. A Blight of Black Wings by Kevin Hearn. This is the second book, and I think it's just supposed to be a trilogy. I think The Seven Kennings is just supposed to be a trilogy. Might go on longer, but I'm pretty sure it's just supposed to be a trilogy. This is book 2 of 3, and this book came out at the beginning of this year. I know and remember because husband and I went and got them signed. And I read the first book in this series earlier this year, and honestly, I really, really enjoyed it. It was good. It's very, very interesting to read a book where it's meant to be told by like about 10. I think the first one's like 11, and then I think this one adds one and it's 12. But it's meant to be told from like 10 different perspectives, and none of them are like the main character. They're all the main character in their own story, but you get the whole world story by having all of these smaller characters tell it together. And it was really fun to read the first one, so I am looking forward to this one. I just also don't want to have to wait for the finale, so it's kind of sitting up on my shelf. And the final question of this tag is, how many unread books do you have on your shelves? And this is both the easiest and hardest question to answer, because there are 67 books right there. There were 68. I got rid of one because I'm going to unhaul it, and I didn't see the point of leaving it on for this tag. I will probably end up unhauling more of them, but that one had to go. So, there are 67. Poor unread books. And like I did say, I am in the process of rearranging my bookshelves, so if not the next video, the one after that will be a bookshelf arrangement, bookshelf tour kind of thing. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and feel free to subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. I'll be posting videos on Wednesday, hopefully for all of next year. Have a wicked day.